go crazy. Check, 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 check. Check. Hey, hey, there's one viewer online. Hi, one viewer. How are you? It probably is me. I do have it open in another window. Darn it. Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. How is everyone? Good, good, good. Define good. Ooh. Good is good objective or subjective? Does it? How is it subjective? That's not always true. Go ahead. Enlighten me. I would imagine no, but depending on the personality. No. But would you quantify that as good? I would quantify that as, I mean, it is good for both in a sense. One person appreciates it more. Therefore, good is still objective. All right. Explain. Yes. Okay. Yes. Correct. 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 But there is still truth. So if your interpretation of the truth, indeed, but there is still ultimate truth. No. If everyone believes in one thing, if everyone believed in unicorns, nay, 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 yellow-eyed, purple-horned unicorns, that would be truth? But everyone believes it. A magical yellow-eyed, purple-horned unicorn. Not organic, spiritual. All right, we'll move on. Okay, let's talk some announcement-y things. I switched the format tonight just a tiny bit. We're going to play our game in just a few minutes, but we're going to jump into the lesson a little bit earlier. Announcements. Oh, I like that. Okay, so announcement-y things. Let's talk about the rules first. Okay, the game tonight does have the potential to be messy. Now, only a couple of you will have an opportunity to play the game, okay? It is not food. You can eat them. I believe they're non-toxic. However, please don't. Okay. I'm sure one of you is going to try and eat it, but please don't. Okay, so it does have the potential to be messy. If you make the mess, I'm going to ask that you stay after and clean up the mess, okay? It's only fair that you suffer. Notice how I haven't been giving you popcorn. I mean, yes, thanks, COVID, but also you don't deserve popcorn because you're messy people. Yes, Jack. No, it is not bubbles. You will see. All will be revealed. If there's anyone watching online, we're so glad that you could be here with us wherever it is that you're watching from. You can hop onto the webpage. You can chat in Discord while we're doing the stuff here. However, if you do that, I do ask that you be respectful in everything that you do and say. This is a YouTube premiere for Cornerstone Youth for the sad people who can't be here with us. We join you in heart. Don't listen to Ethan, he's heartless. Okay, oh yeah, 2 more announcements. Okay, Discord, everyone's in Discord and having fun. Yay! I need to talk to you about it though, because some of y'all's moms, dads, and teachers are getting downright cranky with the amount of notifications that y'all are getting, okay? Okay, it is vital that you learn how to manage notifications on your cell phone, on your tablets, on your computers. Lynn, how vital is it as an adult to manage notifications on your cell phone? Andrew, do you have to manage notifications on your cell phone during the day? Okay. As young people, it is important that you get a handle on this now. We are giving you that opportunity. Okay? Mute channels. Mute the server. Don't leave the server. Don't uninstall the app. I mean, unless your parents are like, you're done, grounded, 2 weeks out. Okay? Follow their instructions, but don't leave the server. Don't uninstall the app. Learn how to manage notifications. Learn how to silence notifications. Learn how to mute channels. Okay? It will make your life much more lovely. It will make your teacher's life much more lovely. It will make the students around you, their lives will be much more lovely. It will make your parents say, my, what a responsible young man or woman I have raised. In that tone. Yes, Nelson. Bingo. Yeah, there are people who know how to do this in this very room. Ask for help. Brendan knows how, Jack knows how, Nelson knows how, Dami knows how, Andrew and I know how, Lynn somehow figured it out. We're very proud. We are all very proud. Okay, Secret Santa, we're doing our Christmas party in January. Yes, thank you very much. I will be donning my suit and tie for this fair Wednesday evening. So it is our Christmas party. So I'm going to have a Christmas tree out here, and we're going to do our Secret Santa exchange. So you bring your gifts, you lay them down at the tree. One of our leaders is going to be handing out those gifts. You guess who gave you the gift, and merriment and enjoyment will happen. We'll sing Christmas carols, because that'll be awesome. And yeah, it'll be our Christmas party, and I'll have food for you, which will be awesome. So if you choose to come in jeans and a hoodie, you will be comfortable, but it won't be Christmas. Okay, I will be dressed in the nines, to the nines. To the nines? In the nines? Yes, Jack. Yes, suits. Suit up! That's great. That's perfect. Hi, Kate. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be fun. It will be what it is. Everyone watch the inauguration today? In school? Did you do it in school? That's pretty good. You can't go wrong with that. Okay, let's jump into our lesson. Evening, ladies. Come on in, have a seat. Speaking of goals, you guys are goals. You know, you really are. You're respectful, you're kind, you're awesome. Get oddly awesome. Love, Stefan. It's a letter from me. So if you hadn't noticed, we're talking about goals. If you were here last week, you would have heard me talk all about goals. And we're talking about a guy from the Old Testament. His name is Nehemiah, who actually wrote the book, Nehemiah. What's that? I'll give you a little hint. Anytime you have a microphone or you're standing up to read what's in the Bible, it's whatever you say it is. So actually tonight, you're going to see that in action. I have a couple scripture references and they have weird names in them, and I'm going to say them confidently. I have had no training on how to say their names, and they're not even offended. Oof. Oof, I didn't want to say it. Yeah. Say it with confidence, and no one knows. Yep, exactly. Mostly because they're dead. Yeah. So we're talking about goals, but not just goals. We're talking about God-sized goals, okay? Now, we set goals all the time. Whether we're conscious of it or not, that's another story. But we set goals all the time. Like, I want to finish my homework by 7 o'clock so that I can get into Minecraft, right? That's a goal that you might have. Or I want to get on the volleyball team or rugby team. That's a goal that you've set. I want my crush to notice me. That's a goal that you can set. Have you ever set a goal, but then you just get stuck? Like, you just have no idea what your next step would be. You have no idea how to actually get this goal to completion. You're just stuck. If you've done that, if you've felt stuck completing your goal, that's okay. We've all been there, okay? There are times where I kind of feel like this guy. And he definitely didn't make it. But if you've watched like Ice Age 2, 3, he's not dead. He's okay. He gets over it. You see, if you've ever gotten stuck while trying to accomplish a goal, it's okay. As I said earlier, we've all been there. Now, I need 3 volunteers, okay? Now, I need these to be the brightest, most engineering volunteers, okay? Very bright, very engineering. Okay, Nelson, Dami, and Bethany, come on up. Each of you position yourself behind one of these tables. All right, I have here a whole box of fun. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you each a pile of these plastic packing peanuts, okay? Okay, here you go. Enjoy. Now remember, I did say this has the potential to be really messy.
Can we eat them after?
You can try. Again, I think they're non-toxic, but
I've heard they're a good snack.
I don't know. These did come from America, so they're American peanuts too. Right. Dummy, you want to grab a couple more out of the box here? Oh, no. You're going to want all of those. Okay. All right. So here's the game, okay? The game is stack the pack in peanuts, okay? Stack the pack in peanuts. Okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 1 minute, okay? Your objective is to build me the highest tower, okay? Build me the highest tower using nothing but packing peanuts, okay? Let me get 1 minute. Not 24, that'll take way too long. Okay, 1 minute. When I say go, you start stacking. Ready, set, go. 1 minute. Stack. You're stacking or you're packing peanuts. Once I did hear that. That was nice. That's what I'm most afraid of. 40 seconds. Andrew, was it you that ate the styrofoam ball? Yeah. Was that a fun experience? No. 25 seconds. And Brendan didn't even guess. 17, 15, 13, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, hands up, hands up, hands up. Hands up. Wow, Nelson, actually, I'm really impressed with this. Yeah. Just to make sure, well, now Dami's a cheater, and you deserve that. All right, Nelson, you are the winner because that's a fairly decent stack. Now, I was all prepared to give you all the money that's in my pocket, which is 4 picks and a loony. Give Nelson a round of applause. Give everyone a round of applause because I tried this, and it is really difficult. Like, that's the mound thing is actually a brilliant way. Yeah. We'll get the vacuum out. No worries. All right, if you were in their position, what would have been your strategy, Ethan? Eating the peanuts would have resulted in negative tower building. Jack, what would have been your strategy? Interesting. Yes. Elise. Like, I was doing this earlier today just to see if it could be done. And like, I did a straight tower with one and maybe got to like 3 stacked on top of each other. But then like just moving my arm was enough wind that they all fell down. Brendan. Yes. Yes. Diamond. Uh-huh. True. Which Nelson's was resemblant of a pyramid. Yes, that's true. What tools or supplies would have made this so much easier? Madeline. What? Glue would have made this much easier, Jack. Yes, toothpicks. Yeah. No, I really don't think eating them is the answer at all. What's that? Yeah. You know, there was an old commercial, had a song, "Don't you put it in your mouth." Mm-mm. What were the skills? What skills came in handy in order to put these together? Yes. Yes. It happens. Anyone who stands out gets bullied. It's true. It happens. Yeah. Have you guys ever read this book, The Little Prince? Yeah, in French class. Does everyone know this book? No? No, no, no? Yes, somewhat? Okay. So this book is written, who's the author? Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, okay? That's a name and a half. Like, wow. But the guy was like really smart. Did you know this? Not only was he a writer, poet, he was a journalist, and he was even a pilot. Like, the dude got stuff done. And he seems to know a few things about goals if he was able to accomplish all that. So how did Antoine achieve so much? Was he just exceptionally talented? Was he smart, or was he lucky? And maybe it was one of those. Or maybe he just knew the power of a well-executed plan. One of the lines in this book is, "A goal without a plan is just a wish." A goal without a plan is just a wish. Yeah, it's like that thing should be on inspirational posters with a cat. Does it have a cat? Oh, that would make it. What? Oh, yeah. No, I do see both. Yeah. So while some of us may be more naturally talented than others, in certain areas, we're all able to accomplish big things. And whether it's building a massive packing peanut tower, or eating it, or learning a new skill, or even changing the world, God gives us the abilities to solve problems and to make things happen. But to accomplish anything, we need to have a plan. So what's a goal that wouldn't be possible without a plan? And it could be a spiritual goal, something like spending more time with God. You're going to need a plan for that. It might be a mental goal, like learning something new. You're going to need a plan for that. Maybe a physical goal, like trying a new activity or getting stronger or getting faster or jumping higher or eating packing peanuts. Like there's guys who train to eat weird things. Like there's a guy who's trying to eat an airplane. Like a full-on airplane. It's nuts. Another goal that you might have might be a relational goal, like being a better friend or being kinder to your family. And these are all good plans or good goals, but without a plan, they're just wishful thinking. So, what is your most plan-worthy goal? And I don't want an answer from you. I just want you to think about this. What's your most plan-worthy goal? I've had a lot of goals in my life, and a lot of goals that failed, a lot of goals that actually succeeded. One of the bigger goals in my life, and it's still in progress, has been adoption. Deborah and I have always talked about adopting kids. When we first got married, that was one of the big things that we always talked about was being able to adopt kids. And we just kept having kids of our own until we had 4 of our own. But adoption is still something that we'd really like to consider or actually follow through on. And that goal needed a plan. If we were going to accomplish that, we had to do stuff in order to get to the place where we can adopt kids. One of the stops along the way, one of the things that we needed to get into place is when you have a big family, like I have 4 kids, so there's 6 of us, not every car can drive us everywhere. Like there's just not that many seatbelts in a car. So we needed a bigger vehicle if we were going to add to our family. So our sub-goal was to get a big van. And as you saw out there, there's a big van in the parking lot. And we were actually able to do that. That took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. We prayed about it. We planned for it. We saved every little penny that we could for a long time to get it. Deborah started making necklaces and earrings and other kinds of jewelry, and she would sell those. So she's actually making jewelry, selling it, and the proceeds would go to fund our van. We're asking people, would you consider giving towards this project of ours? And people gave. Enough for us to pay more than half the van. We're still making payments on the van. It's not completely ours yet, even though the inside is destroyed with and covered with cheese and crackers, but that's gross. I'm pretty sure it was worse after I took you guys in it. We're still paying it off, and it's by the grace of God that He's enabled us to be able to keep making payments on that vehicle. There were other sub-goals that have helped us in achieving our goal of someday adopting kids. We got into foster care. We thought that fostering kids was going to be a great option for us. We'd actually have kids come into our house, stay with us short term. And, I was really inspired by my own family and how fast they got attached to other people and how fast they loved on other kids and how quickly other people felt comfortable in our house. And we prayed and we talked to other people and we had a lot of help along the way. And if it wasn't for God providing all of those things, these goals would be falling flat. There'd be no way that we could have ever afforded to get a van. There's no way that we could have ever been patient enough to have extra kids in our family. And I don't mean this to come across as braggy. Like, that's not the intention here. Like, okay, so I have a big van. We fostered. We're trying to adopt. What I want you to understand is that if I can do it, anyone can do it. And all it costs you... No, I'm just kidding. If you find 5 other people to join you... No, it's not. It's not at all. I mean, unless you want to, which is cool. But no, I say all that because God's designed each one of us to have a God-sized goal. And God's going to be the one to help you out and get it. But if you're not convinced, maybe the next part of Nehemiah's story will help convince you. So a little recap from last week. We're looking at a book from the Old Testament, the book of the Bible called Nehemiah, written by a guy. Hey! Surprise, surprise. So about 140 years before the book is written, the Jewish people, they're conquered by an enemy army. The army destroys the city of Jerusalem. They burn the temple where the Jewish people worship God, and they send many of God's people into exile. But God promised that one day the Jewish people would return. So when the book of Nehemiah opens, some of God's people have begun returning to Jerusalem, looking for ways to rebuild what they had lost, but it is a long process. And Nehemiah was passionate about seeing Jerusalem restored, but he also saw a really big problem. Although some of God's people were living in Jerusalem, the city walls were still in shambles. And there's a practical problem here. I mean, the practical problem is that while the walls are in shambles, while there's still rubble surrounding the city can be attacked again and easily overrun. And there's a spiritual problem too. Leaving the walls in shambles dishonors God, but rebuilding them would be a sign that the people were returning to God and choosing to be obedient again. And so Nehemiah is inspired by his love for his people and for his God. He sets out this God-sized goal to rebuild the walls so that God's people would be protected and so that God would be honored. So Nehemiah had a goal, but what about a plan? So if you remember from last week, the first thing that Nehemiah did was he spent a considerable time praying and fasting. And he prayed and fasted for months. Let's take a look in Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 4. This is Nehemiah who says this: "When I heard this, I sat down and wept. In fact, for days I mourned, fasted, and prayed to the God of heaven." Skip over to verse 11. It says, "O Lord, please hear my prayer. Listen to the prayers of those of us who delight in honoring you. Please grant me success today by making the king favorable to me. Put it into his heart to be kind to me. In those days, I was the king's cupbearer." And so there's three things that I notice from these verses. And the first one is Nehemiah doesn't ask God for a step-by-step plan. He doesn't ask for instructions on how to get it done. He knew what God wanted him to do. He knew that God wanted him to lead the charge on rebuilding the walls, and that was enough. He didn't say, "God, I'll just sit here and wait until you give me the rest of the plan." No, he started planning. And by the time he reached the end of his prayer, Nehemiah was already working on his plan. He asked God to help him be successful in what he was about to attempt. He says, "I'm the cupbearer to the king." And while that might be really important information for us to have, I think it serves another purpose. It shows us that Nehemiah was making note of the resources that God had already given to him. As a cupbearer to the king, he had access and he had influence with the most powerful person in the kingdom. To sum it all up, you could say Nehemiah planned while he prayed. Let's take a look at Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 1 through 9. It says, "Early the following spring, in the month of Nisan, during the 20th reign of Artaxerxes' reign, I was serving the king wine." This is last week's verse. This isn't the right one. I read this one already. Boo. Okay, hold on. Let me adjust the program slightly. The program needs to be adjusted. My guess is not good. But who knows? I don't believe that. Here's hoping that it's non-toxic. Oh, you know what? It is the right verse. I was wrong. Anyways, I'm going to read it from here anyways. "Early the following spring, in the month of Nisan, during the 20th year of King Artaxerxes' reign, I was serving the king his wine. I had never appeared sad in his presence. So the king asked me, 'Why are you looking so sad? You don't look sick to me. You must be deeply troubled.' Then I was terrified, but I replied, 'Long live the king! How can I not be sad? For the city where my ancestors are buried is in ruins, and the gates have been destroyed by fire.' The king says, 'Well, how can I help you?' With a prayer to the God of heaven, I replied, 'If it please the king, and if you are pleased with me, your servant, send me to Judah to rebuild the city where my ancestors are buried.' The king, with the queen sitting beside him, asked, 'How long will you be gone? When will you return?' After I told him how long I would be gone, the king agreed to my request. I also said to the king, 'If it please the king, let me have letters addressed to the governors of the province west of the Euphrates River, instructing them to let me travel safely through their territories on my way to Judah. And please give me a letter addressed to Asaph, the manager of the king's forest, instructing him to give me the timber. I will need it to make beams for the gates of the temple fortress, for the city walls, and for a house for myself.' And the king granted these requests because the gracious hand of God was on me. When I came to the governors of the province west of the Euphrates River, I delivered the king's letters to them. The king, I should add, had sent along army officers and horsemen to protect me." So that might all seem kind of like boring details to you, but please stick with me. You see, in these verses, we discover that Nehemiah didn't just pray and casual plan. He'd been preparing in great detail. You see, the king asked Nehemiah why he looked sad, and Nehemiah had an answer prepared. The king asked what Nehemiah wanted, and Nehemiah had a request prepared. The king wanted to know how long Nehemiah's journey would take, and Nehemiah had a timeline prepared. And since the king seemed pretty open to his ideas, Nehemiah also had a list of requests prepared. And so throughout this process, Nehemiah continued to talk to God in prayer, but he didn't let God do all the work. He didn't have to wait for God to do all the work. He used the strategic mind that God gave him to plan and prepare while he waited for the right opportunity. Because Nehemiah had prepared in detail for the opportunity he hoped he would get to speak with the king, when God arranged the perfect meeting, Nehemiah was fully prepared to take advantage of it. And so we see Nehemiah prepared while he planned. And Nehemiah already had a plan in place, but now it's time to recruit other people to help him make it happen. But first, he'd need to figure out how to deal with the people who definitely did not want to help. Nehemiah chapter 2, 10 through 20. But when Sanballat, the Horonite, and Tobiah, the Ammonite, officially heard of my arrival, they were very displeased that someone had come to help the people of Israel. So I arrived in Jerusalem 3 days later. I slipped out during the night, taking only a few others with me. I had not told anyone about the plans God had put into my heart for Jerusalem. We took no pack animals with us except the donkey I was riding. After dark, I went through the valley gate, past the jackal's well, and over to the dung gate, yes, that dung, to inspect the broken walls and burned gates. Then I went to the fountain gate and to the king's pool, but my donkey couldn't get through the rubble. So, though it was still dark, I went up to the Kidron Valley instead, inspecting the wall before I turned back and entered again at the valley gate. The city officials did not know I had been out there or what I was doing, for I had not yet said anything to anyone about my plans. I had not yet spoken to the Jewish leaders, the priests, the nobles, the officials, or anyone else in the administration. But now I said to them, "You know very well what trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been destroyed by fire. Let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and end this disgrace." Then I told them about how the gracious hand of God had been on me, and about my conversation with the king. They replied at once, "Yes, let's rebuild the wall." So they began the good work. But when Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem, the Arab, heard of our plan, they scoffed contemptuously. "What are you doing? Are you rebelling against the king?" they asked. And I replied, "The God of heaven will help us succeed. We, his servants, will start rebuilding this wall, but you have no share, legal right, or historic claim in Jerusalem." And so Nehemiah gained a couple enemies during this process. And when you're working on a God-sized goal, that can sometimes happen. But once again, Nehemiah is ready. And he wasn't naive. He expected people to oppose him. He knew to hold his tongue and keep his plans secret from people who opposed him. He was wise about who he trusted. He figured out a way to bypass the people who opposed him so he could recruit people who shared his vision for this God-sized goal. He surrounded himself with the right people. You see, Nehemiah planned for opposition. God gave Nehemiah a huge task, rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. But God also gave Nehemiah everything he needed in order to make it happen. You see, Nehemiah had access to God through prayer. He had his God-given talents, abilities, and passions. He had the resources, the opportunities, and connections that God had given him. And he had other people. And although this God-sized goal most likely scared Nehemiah, sometimes Nehemiah didn't give up or wait around for someone else to handle it. And instead, Nehemiah made a plan. And although Nehemiah's goal was extraordinary, he understood the tools he needed to accomplish this goal were completely ordinary. And they were already available to him. Nehemiah took the vision that God had given to him, the skills that God had given to him, and the resources that God had given to him, and he got to work. Nehemiah trusted that accomplishing this God-sized goal was exactly what he was made to do. And just like Nehemiah, you are designed for God-sized goals. So think about one big goal that you've achieved. Do y'all have one big goal that you have achieved? Can you think about one? Now, I don't know how you achieved your goal, but here's what I do know. You were able to achieve it because God designed you to do big things. You have a brain that can strategize. You have people who can help you. You have skills and resources you can use to see those goals be accomplished. And if you're not sure what you think about God right now, or you're not sure that you have any God-sized goals, that's okay. What I'm going to share with you can still help you achieve whatever goals that you have. If your goals right now are about what you want to do or achieve for yourself, the story of Nehemiah can teach you some important wisdom that will help you achieve your goals no matter what they are. But I want to challenge you to think bigger than that. Even bigger than getting into college, even bigger than getting on the soccer team, even bigger than getting that boy or girl to notice you. Chase after your goals, but don't settle for goals that only benefit you. And like we talked about last week, try asking God what else you might be designed to do, because God has big plans for you. If you think you have a God-sized goal growing in your heart, that's great. And maybe you wrote something down on the goat last week. If you weren't here last week, you missed the goat. And maybe you wrote something down on that goat last week and you've been thinking about it ever since. Either way, there are 4 things that I see in Nehemiah's story that I think can help us turn our God-sized goals into plans of actions. You see, the first thing that you have is you've got you. You've got you, and we've all got days, we've all had days where we don't think we're the best, we don't think we're the brightest, and quite honestly, we might think we are actually the worst. But God designed you with care. God designed you with intention. God designed you with purpose. That means you're created the exact way that God wanted you to be. When God gives you a God-sized goal, ask him, what do I bring to the table? How do I contribute to this God-sized goal? You see, you might have a mind that's creative. You might have a mind that can think and plan and strategize. You might have a unique blend of skills, expertise, and knowledge. You might have God-given interests and passions. Shh. You might have conversations later. Just like Nehemiah discovered, most God-sized goals can't be achieved alone. So secondly, you've got others. You know, there is a lot that we can accomplish on our own, but if we want to make a lasting change, we're going to need other people. When God gives you a God-sized goal, ask, who can I work with? Friends, family, trusted adults, teachers, coaches, mentors. You have access to knowledge from experts through books, through videos, through the internet. You have access to influential people who can make things happen, either in person or online. Next, you've got things. You've got stuff. Just like you might have needed extra supplies in order to make these towers a lot stronger or taller. If you had toothpicks, you could have built it a lot higher. If you had glue, you could have built them a lot higher. If you had concrete, you could have made a whole cabin out of them. But you've got things. You've got stuff. Nehemiah needed transportation. He needed wood. He needed letters. He needed the king's blessing. And you're probably going to need some things to help you accomplish your God-sized goals. And so when God gives you a God-sized goal, ask him, what do I need and where can I get it? Everyone's God-sized goals will need something different. And maybe for you it's money. Maybe it's supplies. Maybe it's an audience, a location, a platform, or even just an opportunity. And lastly, you've got God. Most importantly, you've got God. Whether your goal is an everyday you-sized goal or a once-in-a-lifetime God-sized goal, God is with you just like God was with Nehemiah. And like Nehemiah, God probably isn't going to give you a step-by-step plan for achieving your God-sized goal. And that's okay, you don't need one. Because you already have everything you need. Like Nehemiah, you are designed for God-sized goals. You've got the things, you've got you've got others, you've got God. Now what are you going to build? Let me pray for you. God, thanks for tonight. Thanks for these students. Thanks for the God-sized goals that you've got in mind for each and every person here. Thank you for the skills, the talents, the abilities that you've given each and every one of them. And God, maybe they're struggling because what they see that you've given them, they see as a weakness in them, but you've meant it as a strength. God, help them to understand what it is that you're calling them to do. Help them to understand the strengths that they can bring to the table. Help them to see the resources that are surrounding them to help accomplish these goals. Lord, we love you. We thank you for this evening. And God, I do pray that you would be with these students this week. Give them an awesome week. In Jesus' name, amen.